Let's talk about what makes this essay so emotionally intense, so powerful. At first, we're inclined to say, well, maybe it's so intense, so emotionally impactful because it's describing something that's so upsetting. That's not really it. I'm going to show you something that's more upsetting than this essay. Here is a photograph of a starving child. Now, right now, you might be responding to this image more than you might otherwise because you just read such an emotional essay. Your nerves are probably a bit raw. But even now, there's something you can almost feel it happening. Something in your brain that's shielding you from feeling as bad as logically you should about this situation. Nothing in this essay is as terrible as this. This is worse than anything in the essay, and yet you don't feel as bad as you should. That's the weird thing, right? This is 1,000 times worse, but you don't feel 1,000 times as bad. You don't feel twice as bad. In fact, you might not even feel half as bad, even though this is a worse situation. So what's happening over here? When we see something like this, our mind shields us. Our mind says, here's something like emotionally horrific that I just need to be protected from. So you get that protecting, that shielding that keeps you emotionally safe, right? And by the way, before we continue, this is a happy story. Like he's gotten food, he's gotten more healthy, etc. But let's look and see what happens in this story. What happens in this story is that your mind, you're given these signals that lets you know this is going to be safe. You can open yourself up. You don't need to protect yourself. It's a story about coins. It's a keepsake essay. It's an essay about an object. This is like, here's an object that means something to me. Let me tell you how the silver dollar represents my mom and the dime represents my dog or whatever, right? It's going to be harmless. And then all of a sudden you're just totally caught off guard and hit by this. What happened is your mind wasn't given the warning. It didn't have the time to shield you. So instead of shielding you, it's just like, yeah, be totally open. This is unemotional. People think that when they see something emotional, you open yourself up more, but that's not true. You actually open yourself up less. Your mind tries to protect you from things that are more upsetting. Now, if this essay could have been made very, very weak by adding just one sentence. If this essay said, "Let me tell you how hard and horrific my childhood was," then you would have been warned and you could protect yourself. What makes this essay is not the magnitude of how bad it was. It's the fact that you're not on your guard, you're totally open, and then you're hit so hard with it so suddenly and so unexpectedly. That's the power of this. There's a movie that uses something very similar. It's called Requiem for a Dream. It's a very upsetting movie. I don't think I've met a single person who's seen it twice. I certainly haven't seen it twice. I have no intention of watching it again. Um, People, when they watch it, by the end are often throwing up or crying. I mean, it's a really upsetting movie, and what makes it so effective is not that it has things that are so much more horrific than what you see in other movies. If you've watched any documentary about the Civil War, everything in that documentary was worse, but you're not expecting it in this movie. That's the key. It opens up with this ridiculous scene of a deadbeat son just trying to drag his mom's TV to the pawn shop to sell it, and he looks like a jerk, and he looks pathetic and kind of stupid, but it's like idiotic and lighthearted in this way. It's like a decoy, right? Your mind's like, oh, this is the type of movie it's going to be, and then when you see when you're experiencing all the horrific things that happen through the story, you've already connected with the character. It's too late now, right? And that's what happens here. You're told this is going to be safe, it's going to be unemotional, it's going to be just harmless. You open yourself up to the character, and then you're hit so hard, and it works because of the fact that you're just not expecting it. Your mind didn't have time to shield you from it. It's a powerful technique, and it by itself is a powerful technique. Later on, you're going to learn about decoys and whatnot and how to use them. And you can use emotional decoys, you can use like believability decoys and whatnot. It's a powerful essay. It's a really good essay. It's one of the strongest essays I've ever seen. That opening technique, I think, is really what makes it. You connect with it because you think it's going to be safe, and then you're hit really hard after you've already connected with the character.